Good afternoon. I'm Jay Rovert, founder and director of the R&B Group, one of the best networking groups around the country. And I'm very proud to have Greg Taffet, the president of Taffet Associates. Very interesting guy, Renaissance guy in the technology world, but a really interesting guy across the board in his whole person. And that's one of the reasons I was very excited, besides him being a good guy, a team player in the world of networking, to introduce him. Greg, say hello to us.
Hi, Jay. Pleasure to be here. Glad to be part of the group and look forward to this interview.
Thank you. And when I was going over and doing my homework, for some reason, Greg, you knew I was looking at LinkedIn besides the summary you gave me, which was probably the better way to start. And there were so many areas in here that I really realized you definitely have that Renaissance spirit, the way you've looked at life and everything else from childhood on. And so I was wondering if you could start us off, give us basic intro about family, growing up in New Jersey, and then we'll move on to your education and also your very, very exciting career and basic personal pursuits.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you. So I was growing up in New Jersey. My father ran a shoe store, which I worked in, gaining a lot of experience and a lot of perspective on life, of how to treat customers, how to treat people in general, along with heavy lifting of boxes and cases and all sorts of stuff that go along with it.
Sure.
But, we would always take a vacation to the Jersey Shore, where I was enthralled by all the marine animals, the sand, the waves, and I just have a love for the marine environment. And nowadays, I'm an active scuba diver, along with all the other business-oriented stuff that I do.
Well, it's one thing to have an interest in the seashore, but it's another thing to win an award from the National Science Foundation to study it in a higher level. So why do we go in that direction?
Yeah, well, when I was in high school, my abilities were always towards the sciences.
Sure.
And so when we got to senior year, there was a National Science Foundation program that allowed me to study at the University of California in Humboldt for the whole summer. And that was all marine oriented. You got a good idea of how the marine economy works, how the ecology is. And then after that, I got another foundation scholarship to study up at Cobscook Bay, Maine, and see the environment on the other side of the coast. So
what a way to make use of the summer, just your overall development and everything else. And then you went to college, and where did you go?
I went to Franklin and Marshall College and studied biology.
Right.
Graduated there. As also, while I was there, I was the president of the computer club. And so I got a good working knowledge of computers, though never took any courses, just all self-taught and using it by experience.
Yeah.
And
that was either foresight or luck, because little did you know where the world was going at that time, back in the old days for all of us. And so, Greg, why don't you tell us about your first job and why you chose it, how it happened, and how you started out your career?
Well, back then, the computer world was, just starting, and I was looking for a job in the marine environment after having graduated, and found out that the best I could do was washing bottles for minimum wage and working my way up. So as opposed to washing bottles, I found that because I had learned a lot about computers, I could get a reasonable job in computers, and then I would be able to go scuba diving and enjoy the marine environment as opposed to having to work in it all the time.
Sure.
So I got my first job programming mini computers back way when they were the big new thing.
And where was that?
At Triad Systems in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Sure. And you were there how long?
I was there for just 1 year until I got another offer from a printing company to work for them. at Profit Control Corp, a subsidiary of Heidelberg International. And at this time, I had already started taking my graduate courses in computer science. I first went to Columbia and found out that that was too big a commute. So I then started going to Stevens Institute of Technology. And while I was going to college, one of my professors offered me a job working for his startup consulting firm. And so I rapidly moved out of the printing industry and into consulting, where I eventually became partner at Wellington Systems.
Interesting. Well, you made your own breaks. You made your own
Yes.
breaks. You made the connections. You were there at the right place at the right time. Interesting start. And from there?
From there, I was working on a project for a manufacturing firm in Bridgeport, Connecticut, the Bodine Corporation. And after working on their project for a year, they were looking at expanding all of their computers and computer systems, and they made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. And so I jumped over from the consulting side to working at the Bodine Corp over in Bridgeport, and worked there until they were bought out by Detroit Tool. And unluckily, they moved the company and everything else to Detroit and kept all of us people here. So now I had to go look for another job.
Yeah.
But luckily, I was skiing and riding up in the chairlift with another person. I met one of the founders of MX Energy. And by the time I was done with my ski vacation, I had my next job.
And that, when was that?
That was in, let's see, probably just about 2000.
Interesting.
That was
Interesting. And that's when all the stuff, even the stock market and all the other places, the investing was all about going into energy after
right.
the stock
Right.
market crash.
Yeah.
So interesting timing. I don't think it's an accident. So tell us more. Where'd you go from there?
Okay, after there, I knew a couple of people that had graduated from MX Energy and had gone into the energy industry all over the place.
Yep.
And I made an offer to become the CIO at US Gas and Electric. So that's when I moved down to Florida, and I stayed with them until they were bought out just recently in 2018. At that point, saying, what should I do now? What can I do? And people started approaching me and saying, Greg, can you help me? And so I said, aha, this is what my next job is going to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to be not only helping companies that I've been working for grow and expand, but now I'll be doing the same thing for myself, and working and taking the jobs that I really want to take.
Yep.
And this has been a real boon to me because I've gotten to work with a lot of good people. And now I'm able to start picking jobs that are more closely related to the marine environment and the marine economy, the blue economy, and all that. So this has been a joy, to be able to now branch out on my own.
But kind of interesting that, let's say our buddy at Tesla decided he heard about you and he says, I'll offer you a consulting gig with some stock options. It's just interesting how all your training and background made you so perfect for the current environment today.
Yes, yes. And, so I've, done a lot of things on the side with helping the public and working, down here in South Florida. I've worked on providing computers for people that can't afford them. I've worked with, the Stepping Stones Museum up in Norwalk, helping them with their technology plan. I was involved with the initial wiring of the Stanford school system, of getting them onto the internet. So, it's always been fun to work on these projects that I've gotten the experience and the knowledge from my work experience.
And such perfect timing for the next 10, 15 years. Just
Yes.
Wonderful to be an expert in all these different fields. And well, I think we met on LinkedIn about 10, 12 years ago. I love the way I say met. And then it just so happens that Arvin knew you. And then 12 years later, we get to meet in person.
Right, right. Well, all the time when I was in Connecticut, the meetings, I was always busy working,
Yep.
so I was never able to get out and get to your meetings. But now, that they're virtual and I'm down here far away in Florida, now it works out perfectly, because I don't have to travel. I just click on the internet and there you are. And there are all the other people. And
Yeah.
it's amazing you've expanded from Connecticut to all over the country. And I saw some people from Canada. So now you're international.
And we even have to control that because some people want us to be even more international. And I just want to go one step at a time here for many of us, because a lot of us still are domestic based and we can't do business everywhere.
Right.
But it's really interesting. And we met for lunch, and Greg, on a personal level, Larry, you too, Greg and Arvin decided to get together for lunch. I think it was right May 1st or something. And I was still a little paranoid about COVID. And they said, "You're getting out. You're getting out. We're going to go to the Grey Goose." And they opened up the tent, and we're going to sit on the periphery of the tent. And I know the wind was blowing about 30 miles an hour the other way. And so I had no worries at all. And we had a wonderful, wonderful lunch. I think we hung out there for about 3 hours, actually, from 11:30 to 2:30.
Right. Yeah.
And then you guys came up with a terrific idea. And I wish you'd let us know.
So I have a lot of connections on LinkedIn, and it seemed like the perfect networking vehicle to use a networking vehicle for networking. So
Yes.
I put a little note on my profile to say, hey, I've got this great networking group that I'm a member of. And if people wanted to also join, they should contact me and I would put them in touch with you. So that seemed to generate a lot of interest,
Yes. And Greg, just you've been coming now the past year. You came once before, from when you before I even met you in person. Tell us why. You're a busy guy. You've got a lot of outside activities you like, the whole works. And you do take time to come and see us. And I'm not sure economically if you need it or not. I think you feel you are going to get things out of it. You're meeting wonderful people. But tell us really the reason you come.
I come to meet people, and the more people I meet, the more I learn, the more experiences I have. And half of the stuff that I want to do now is to give back.
Yeah.
I'm more focused on the marine environment, but if I can help people, and I've gotten into several discussions with several of the other members of the group,
Yep.
just on specific technology items. And, if that helps them, I'm happy, because then they can do a better job, and it's a great group of people. So I'm always learning something, meeting some new people. I met a whole bunch of marine oriented people through one of the contacts, and am working on a smart cities project, which will probably involve one of them. Not technology, but it's going to help with making the world a better place. So I'm getting a lot out of it also.
Wow, what a wonderful way to sum up. And as we conclude, Greg, why don't you, must be something on your mind you might want to end the video with, especially as something you've noticed in the new environment, the new world we're in today. So in conclusion, what is one or two most important things you'd like people to grasp from this interview?
I think that no matter where you are in your professional career, there's always time to help people. And helping people makes the world a better place. And eventually we all are better off for it, and that's, the driving principle that I'm living by now.
And I can certainly vouch for that, since we must have about 10 to 12 new friends who've come all because of you in the last 6 months. So I really cherish your friendship. I'm glad Larry's gotten to meet you now in person, and I hope you come for as long as we're operating. And thank you. You're a very busy man. Thank you for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate it. It'll be up on the website, and hopefully loads of people get to see it, and you'll make a lot of new friends. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Jay. It's been a pleasure. It always is.